Howdy. Welcome to the first of our lecture series on the Jeffersonian Republic. We've known Jefferson so far as a dissenter, the author of the Declaration of Independence, Washington's Secretary of State, who lost lots of political battles with Alexander Hamilton. And finally, as Jefferson, the writer of the Kentucky Resolution and its advocacy of nullification. Well, fast forward a couple years to 1800, and Jefferson finds himself the victor. Today we're going to look at Jefferson's path to victory and also how Jefferson's victory affected the course of the United States government. So our first lecture is entitled The Triumph of the Jeffersonians. And so we go to the election of 1800, which really isn't all that different from the election of 1796. If we compare the two electoral maps, there's really only one key difference, and that is the state of New York, which in 1796 voted for Adams, the Federalist candidate, and in 1800 supports Jefferson, the Republican candidate for president. Now, this didn't just happen on its own. This was the work of Aaron Burr, who, in return for his good work in New York, was named Jefferson's running mate. And so Jefferson and Burr were running on the Republican ticket as president and vice president. Well, when the Electoral College met, the Federalist electors were pretty disciplined. They got together and made sure that all of their electors voted for Adams, but that one abstained from voting from their vice presidential candidate, Charles Pinckney of South Carolina. The reason for this was, as the Constitution was originally written, everyone wrote two names on a ballot. First place president, second place vice president, which would have worked out great if not for the fact that now, so early in U.S. history, in fact this is only our fourth election, that we have men who are running against each other. And so when people are running against each other, not such a good idea to have one president and one vice president. But the Republican electors didn't want to leave anything to chance. And so every Republican elector cast a vote for Jefferson and Burr, leading to an electoral tie. Well, you would think that, of course, Jefferson was the presidential candidate, Burr was the vice presidential candidate, right? Not that simple. The Constitution says that if a candidate fails to win a victory, it goes to the House of Representatives. The Federalists saw their chance to deny Jefferson the presidency. Jefferson, who'd been harassing them for a decade. And Burr sees his chance to get the presidency. And so Burr remains silent, figures that he'll just let the House figure it out and see how the cards fall. And so there are 36 ballots cast in the House of Representatives over a week, deadlocked, 8 states and 8 states. Keep in mind the Republicans were still a minority because this is the old lame duck House of Representatives that's voting. So all of the Republican state delegations and a couple of Federalist state delegations are voting for Jefferson, while other Federalist delegations are voting for Burr. Finally, after 36 ballots, Jefferson is president. And this leads us to the 12th Amendment to the Constitution. Remember, the framers of the Constitution didn't think they were writing something perfect. They said that they were creating a more perfect union, something closer to being perfect than the Articles, but not anywhere near perfect. And so they gave us a mechanism for amending the Constitution. 2/3 of Congress would propose amendments, 3/4 of the states ratify. And so the 12th Amendment clarifies this process and acknowledges the reality of partisan politics in American political life. And so electors from the 1804 election on will cast 2 distinct ballots, one for president and one for vice president. You might ask, what caused these Federalist electors to change their mind? Why is it after 35 ballots that some of them all of a sudden decide to cast that 36th ballot for Jefferson? Well, might surprise you that one of the primary architects of Jefferson's victory was none other than his arch nemesis, Alexander Hamilton. Hamilton went on a letter-writing campaign. It wasn't that he liked Jefferson or thought that he would be a good president. It's that he absolutely hated Aaron Burr. Aaron Burr, who was from his home state of New York. Aaron Burr, who had been responsible for the Republican takeover of the New York State legislature. Aaron Burr, who had outsmarted him on his own turf. And Aaron Burr, who was a bit of a rascal. I mean, what kind of guy, when it's understood he's going to be the vice president, decides that he's going to turn against his own running mate? So Alexander Hamilton was probably right when he said that Burr was a man of questionable character. Well, after losing this election, Burr needed someone to blame. So upon finding out that Alexander Hamilton had campaigned against him, Burr challenges him to a duel. This was a common practice at the time. Of course, now you can just talk bad about somebody on Twitter, subtweet at them or whatever, but this wasn't possible at this time. So Burr preferred a more hands-on approach, challenged Hamilton to a duel, and killed him.
Bye-bye, Hamilton.
A little bit of trivia for you. If you've ever seen the Got Milk commercials, the original Got Milk commercial from the mid-90s was a commercial about the Burr-Hamilton duel. Because of copyright restrictions, I can't put it in this video, but I can link it. If you're interested, go ahead and watch.